Welcome to What's Up at Work, the podcast that's all about real talk with the company leaders shaping Northeast Ohio's top workplaces. We're diving into the stories, strategies, and sometimes hilarious moments that come with creating the thriving teams that drive the region's most successful businesses forward. Whether it's a CEO sharing their leadership philosophy or an HR exec spilling their best people-first strategies, we're here to give you insights you can actually use to build a better workplace. Hit play and let's talk about what's really up at work. Welcome back to What's Up at Work, everyone. I'm Sam Clyde Schroeder, Vice President of Sales and Marketing at ERC. And today we're talking about what happens when diversity becomes a lens for how you lead. Not a separate initiative, but a driver of strategy, culture, and results. My guest today is Kevin Clayton, Executive VP and Chief Impact and Equity Officer for the Cleveland Cavaliers. At the Cavs, he's helped rethink everything from fan engagement to executive scorecards to what culture looks like after a playoff loss. If you've ever wrestled with how to align your values with your business goals or how to keep your team united when the scoreboard isn't in your favor, this one's for you. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Sam. I really appreciate it.
I'm so happy to have you here.
No, it's exciting. Yeah.
Let's start at the beginning of your career.
Okay.
So you began your career in sales and marketing at Procter & Gamble, right?
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I started by selling Jif peanut butter and Duncan Hines and Crisco oil and Pringles.
Wow.
And all those things.
Favorite food groups.
I know, right? Right. Yeah. Then I got moved over to our paper division selling Pampers and Loves, which really made sense for me because I had 2 young babies at that time. Mm-hmm. Those samples that I was bringing home, they really worked really well for me.
That was excellent timing.
I know, right? Right.
Okay, so somewhere along the line, though, between the diaper sales and the Pringles, your focus started to shift and you started looking at business more through the lens of people and culture and inclusion. What kind of set that in motion? I
was down in Florida leading kind of the southeast part of the United States, and I was introduced to this whole concept of diversity. Mm-hmm. All right. I was fascinated by it because what diversity talked to was how do you basically create an environment for all of your best minds and individuals to come together and have the freedom to be themselves and look at problems and look at business opportunities differently. And I'm like, wow, we spend a lot of time interviewing people to understand their individuality, but yet we don't spend time to unleash that. I was just fascinated by the fact that if you create an environment for people to bring their whole selves to work, you were going to get a much higher outcome. I was focused on the business, right, but I was now leveraging parts of people that they had left outside the door because prior to me, the culture did not allow them to be their whole selves.
Right. And we'll talk about this through the interview, but I mean, really, your work in the diversity space can drive business.
Absolutely.
And they work together. So you've said that you don't use the term DE&I anymore because that term has kind of taken on a life of its own. Can you walk us through how you define the work that you do and also why the language matters?
So when I first started, as I said, it was around diversity. Mm-hmm. Diversity means something. Diversity is the collective mixture of our similarities and our differences. Right. And a lot of people don't even think about similarities from a diversity standpoint. You and I have been chatting it up for a bit, and we see that we have some things in common. Mm-hmm. Both kind of, you're about to be a parent, I am a parent, and we started talking about that, which allows us to connect. But then we have some differences as well. Mm-hmm. So we make sure that when we talk about diversity, how I talk about diversity is a collective mixture of everything. I don't need to do anything. You and I didn't do anything in this room to have diversity. We just walked in.
Right.
So then when we start talking about inclusion, that really focused on what do I need to do to make sure people feel included. If you do that, your outcome of that's going to be belonging. I'm going to get a sense of belonging because you have given me a platform to be included. Mm-hmm. And Sam, I was really against using the term equity because I'm like, look, we haven't figured out how to get diversity right, the inclusion piece. Mm-hmm. Now we're adding this E to it. And it wasn't until I really worked on understanding what the concept was and then put together my own framework of what equity talks to is how do you level set the organization's systems that are stopping people from feeling included. And if you think of, so when I'm talking about systems in a workplace, mm-hmm. you have basic things such as the feedback system.
Right.
And if you and I, for whatever reason, aren't getting the same type of feedback from whoever we report into, that's going to create a disadvantage. So you got feedback systems, you got hiring systems, you have promotion systems, compensation systems. So I started thinking about it from the perspective of if I work on the systems instead of on the people, then I'm going to level the playing field. What I do
Right.
is creating systems and processes that allow everybody to produce based on what they're bringing to the organization.
Right. You're getting the best out of everybody based on the framework you're putting in place.
Right, right.
I've never heard equity talked about like that before. That really helped me understand.
Yep.
That's really, really interesting. And we'll talk more about your work in diversity, equity, and inclusion
Yes.
at the Cavs. But let's go back to when you joined.
Yes.
So when you joined the Cavs in 2019, you weren't just building a new department, you were literally helping shape the business approach. How do you make a case for diversity as a growth and business strategy?
Love that question because it's the only way I know how to do this work. I want to go back to the P&G for a moment because that was my framework of how I even understood the work.
Yeah.
So we were having this meeting, and it was a worldwide meeting. And back then, we didn't do Zoom. People actually flew in from across the world. And we were meeting in Cincinnati. And then our CEO, John Pepper, says, here are 3 or 4 strategies in which we want to implement. And what John introduced outside of all these other processes, he said, and we're going to leverage diversity as a business strategy. And the words that I just used, leverage, for one, diversity we talked about, as a business strategy. I'm like, wow, okay, so we're going to do something with it. So I only know this work from connecting it to a business strategy because it is a business strategy. It's technology. If you really think about it, it's like, how do I unleash all of human potential to actually produce more business? And I will tell you that all of my sales results when I was at P&G were in kind of the top 5 year over year. Yep. And it wasn't because I was smarter than anybody else, but I was smart enough to understand that if I unleash the potential of everybody on my team and tap into them, I want to know what are the great results and ideas that people have to drive those results.
I mean, that's fascinating and so strategic and early in your career that was your instinct. So you come to the Cavs and you bring all of this experience. What did the Cavs see in you? What was that conversation like? How did things begin for you?
So during the interview process with the Cavs, and they were looking for somebody who was to start their diversity programs. There's 147 professional sports teams across the 5 major sports. That'd be soccer, Major League Baseball, NFL, MLB, and then also the NBA. So with all of those sports, there's 147 teams. There were only 3 at that time before I joined that had a focus on diversity, equity, inclusion. And for our viewers, I'm talking about 2019, not 1965, 6 years ago. Wow. So the Cavs, those other 3 teams, all were in the NBA. So the Cavs were thinking about it differently. It was like, hey, we need somebody to engage in the community, and we know that we can do better as far as our hiring practices and what have you. So in my interview process, we're having this conversation, and I'm like, look, I got to tell you how I think about this work. And it's, yes, the representation part is important, but I'm talking about how we can sell more to our fans, how we can connect and grow our fan base. I'm talking about how we can go to our sponsors and our partners and grow business. Right. And they pause and like, Kevin, what are you, we're talking about diversity. Okay. This isn't kind of a partnership meeting around something. I'm like, it's the same.
It's all the same.
It's the same. So they asked me for examples. This is in the interview process. I'm like, well, okay, here's 3 or 4 examples. I don't know if you all have taken a look at your fan base by demographics to align not necessarily with kind of, I mean, the product is the product. The Cavs are playing on the court, but what kinds of things are we doing in our retail shop that appeals to a dimension of diversity that spends more money from a retail standpoint that is fashion oriented? And how have we looked at it that way instead of just saying, oh, we'll just print out T-shirts? Okay, that was one example. Another example had to do with how are we authentically connecting from a supplier diversity standpoint? So it's okay to go out and just hire people from a community, but that's easy. But are we giving back financially to that community by bringing in their vendors, by bringing in their contractors so that they can share in the financial benefits of the Cavs as much as the fact of, hey, we need to hire more women and I just hired you. No, it's okay. How do we connect to other parts of the community that we're going into? Right. Have we done things such as connected our fan base on a particular theme night? So so we started doing like Pride nights. Yeah. We hadn't done that before. And our sales, and then we started doing Pride merch. Yeah. Our sales on our theme nights, let it be Pride Night with the LGBTQ community,
Yep.
when we have Women's Night, or if it's celebrating the Black community, our merch is significantly higher in sales. If you focus on these communities and make it a holistic strategy,
Yep.
not just hiring, but include things such as, what are we doing internally for our team members?
Right.
What are we doing externally with our fans? What are we doing in the marketplace? Now we have a business strategy around diversity, equity, inclusion. How do you merge them together? Typically what happens is you have the work of DEI over here, and I'm saying DEI only for the sake of
Yes.
this conversation
Yes.
back then,
Right.
and then you have the business over here. That is going to doom. That's going to fail because one doesn't operate. There's no other part of our business that
Right.
operates in silos.
Right.
How do we integrate them?
Right.
So that's how I got to this point. We have seen significant results. Like, I have a revenue goal tied to my performance objectives.
Yeah.
And I lead lots of different things on the team now, but that's a diversity, equity, inclusion scorecard that we have that ties back into compensation.
Right. And you're talking about this really authentically. It's not just we want to sell more stuff. You're leaning into the community and creating something that's top down, from suppliers to the fans to how are we including our team in this.
Yeah, and the buying of more stuff also is we have a percent that goes back to that community.
Right.
So the community is generating revenue going back to nonprofits in the community to help themselves. So it's not just, wow, let's do a Pride Night so we can sell more merch. And I'm glad you brought that up, because when we have these special events, money goes back to the community.
Right. Okay, so you joined the Cavs a little over a year after LeBron left for the Lakers. So you're coming in.
Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, I know. It was a dark time for all of us. So you're coming in, you're starting this entirely new effort at the Cavs. You're also coming into an organization that's coming off of a 1963 or something losing record. So really, it was rough out there. What was the culture like when you're walking into that? Because it's really easy to have a great culture when your team is winning.
It is harder when I'll say it differently. It's a lot easier to walk around the community, to sell to the community, to get support from the community when you're 64-18 like we were this past year. So you're right. I came in, we did not win 20 games my first season or two here.
Right.
And what what we were doing, particularly from my perspective, is like, okay, I'm now implementing this whole strategy around diversity, equity, inclusion.
Right.
And I was partnering with our people and culture team as to, wow, this is a way in which we can increase our team member energy, that now people can be seen that maybe weren't seen before. So it wasn't a direct strategy that I implemented. It was just the times that we had that I'm like, okay, this is how we're going to get people excited, because it was a diversion from thinking about 63 or 64 losses.
Right.
It was now really more about me as a team member. So we initially, what I did, so I started in April of 2019, and one of the first things that I did was gather data. I did an assessment. Again, I'm a P&G dude.
Yeah.
So all I know is we wouldn't go to market with a different color of bathroom tissue without doing an assessment, understanding what we're trying to get done, how does it fit within the current kind of structure and lineup of brands, and then what do we do? So I did that for the first 90 days. It was like I gathered data so I can be data approached versus being emotional about it and saying, hey, look, I don't see enough, people of a certain demographic, so we need to go do something. That's not what I do.
Right.
So staying within when I first came on board, it was how do we make sure that we can connect with our team members. So after I got the data and information, the first step was then to put together what's called the ideal team, which is a lot of companies, organizations call them diversity councils.
Yeah.
But this was a 34-person mix of people from all walks of life, from someone from our janitorial group all the way up to senior vice presidents were on this team.
Yeah.
And the ideal team, ideal is an acronym for inclusion, diversity, engagement, awareness, leadership team. And we come together in this group now doesn't help me necessarily developing the strategy because we have a strategic plan in place, but the organization counts on them to give perspective, to be able to use them in as a real-time kind of compass around where do we stand, what are we doing, how are we doing it, is it working, things of that nature. So that's what I did early on. So there was a lot of excitement around that. It wasn't about winning or losing. I believe what we do on the court and on the ice is actually secondary to what we do off the court. And that's why coming into a situation where we won 17, 18, 19 games was secondary to the work that we were doing, because what we were doing from a community standpoint also impacted our team members and inspired them in ways they hadn't been inspired before.
So you noticed when you got there, one of the things that you noticed, and I think this is really interesting, was that you had especially high turnover among women and people of color. What did you do about that?
So there are a couple of things that we did. I talked about systems. Okay, one of our systems is broken. Or let me say differently. The retention system for women and people of color is not working as well as perhaps it's working for others.
Right. And can you diagnose that? Why do you think that was?
We did interviews, exit interviews. We did focus groups. And our industry alone doesn't really cater to women staying in one place for a long period of time. It's just the industry itself, the sports industry, entertainment industry. But we were like, we don't want to be the norm. We want to be better than the norm. Right. So we did a number of different things that shored up our support for women in our organization. We started a TMRG, so it's Team Member Resource Group. A lot of people call them ERGs. It's called EmpowHer. And they tell us things that aren't working. They tell us things that they need. They have the freedom to capitalize on opportunities for them to maybe get leadership positions outside of the Cavs, like from a community standpoint. It's all those things that they wanted fulfilled in a career, but yet we only have 550 team members. So how can we give team members opportunities outside to still develop their skill set, bring those back, and how do we move forward?
So I want to hit on something that you just said, because a lot of our leaders that we work with struggle with this, which is creating vertical opportunities for your employees. How do you keep the good people at your organization and help them grow?
So I mentioned to you about the ideal team.
Right.
The beauty of the ideal team and how I was able to sell into an organization that never had diversity councils or things like that is that it would also afford leadership opportunities internally by being a part of the leadership team. There were sub-teams that we had. I needed sub-team leaders. We were working on strategy. Okay, that was something that perhaps people at a manager level, maybe a lower level director level, they hadn't had like strategy sessions. So we were able to teach skill sets out of the ideal team. And what I'm really, really proud of, and every year we have a promotion cycle. We're going through a promotion cycle right now. How many of the alums have been on the ideal team to get promoted? Like, it's pretty incredible. Like our top 50 executives in the company, over 2/3 of them have served on the ideal team.
And there are ways that organizations, big, small, in various industries, could take a version of that and create their own system. One other thing that you did that I find really interesting is that you actually changed the name of the HR function at the Cavs to People and Culture. Can you talk about what was behind that change and what does it signal internally?
So I'm going to give the credit to our leadership team. And there was a round of, I guess it was 2 years ago, we were all going through, like 3 or 4 of us were getting promoted to the EVP level. And part of that was, okay, how do we refreshen what we're doing? So it was really our HR group and the leader there who had really done our homework around what's the trend, where are we headed? And if you think about HR, the reality of that team is, what do? Well, we impact culture and we take care of people. It's 2 years old. A lot of people come in and they'll say, hey, where's the HR group? And we have to kind of go through this transition of language. But it's really focused on how do we make sure that we take care of our people, and then kind of working with my team around culture. What are some of the things that we need to do as to what is the vision of culture we want, and then what are the things that we need to put in play to make sure that we have an opportunity to grow to that culture.
So if we fast forward now, the Cavs just came off of a huge, incredible season and a heartbreaking playoff loss. Can you talk about how you lead through the cultural, the highs and lows that come with being, a sports team? There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. How do you keep things steady?
This year was extremely tough. For the last 3 years for me, last 4 years, it's been okay, we didn't make as far as we wanted to.
Yeah.
And this year, because of the great record-setting regular season we had, we had expectations.
Yeah.
And we try to minimize those, but how can you not have expectations?
Right.
Team is 64-18, one of the best records ever in the history of the league.
Right.
And when we lost against Indy, it really is like somebody passed in your family. Sam, everything stops.
Right.
So up to that, we're preparing for Game 6.
Yeah.
All right. My team's preparing to do watch parties. We're working on, okay, what nonprofit are we going to recognize? All of those things. And you can't do it based on the previous game. You have to do it for the entire series.
Right.
The NBA begins to identify, okay, here are the teams that have moved on to the next round. We need to get your finals plan to us so that we can come in, because now, like Indianapolis, Oklahoma City,
the
NBA goes in and partners with their social impact teams on what are the community legacy projects you're going to do. You can't start that once the finals get here.
Right.
So, and we're doing it with so much confidence because we knew our team was going to get there.
Right.
So we lose, everything stops.
Right.
And how you kind of get through that, and I really appreciate kind of our senior leadership team that I sit on, is it's like, okay, how do we pay homage to our team members?
Yeah.
And that happened on a Wednesday. It's like, look, we're going to Thursday, Friday, have everybody just work from home or take the day off.
Yep.
To let people process it.
Right. Regroup.
Then the following week, we had an end-of-season celebration to talk about all the great things, because it was a great season.
Right.
The challenge was it didn't meet our own individual expectations, and you can only get disappointed through having expectations that weren't met.
Right.
Those are our expectations. And we then, we actually do have ways in which if people want to go to People and Culture and see counseling for whatever reason, because there's some people that are so into it. Think about our team that puts on a game.
Yeah.
And they're talking to, national anthem singers. We're bringing in the entertainment. We're talking about, because everything's scripted.
Right.
If you go to a Cavs game, believe me, from the time that our doors open till the time everything is over, every second is scripted in some sort of way.
You guys aren't just slapping that together?
Nah, we're not. We're not. Now, I won't tell you that all teams do it like we do it.
Right.
But it's almost like grief counseling and just giving people a chance. But there's a moment, and we really depend and we tie back into our culture. Our culture is nurturing. Our culture is fun. Our culture is celebrating.
Right.
And those are the kind of things that we're doing. Next week, we have what's called our, REG Presents, where that's Rock Entertainment Group, and we celebrate all of our team members that did great things. We talk about the future. So we find ways in the culture to let the culture kind of absorb everybody.
Right.
And give comfort.
I think we couldn't possibly do this conversation without talking about the Cavs players. You also engage directly with the team, the players on the Cleveland Cavaliers, about what they care about.
Yes.
What's that process like, and how does their voice influence your work?
So we will meet with the players when they come back for training camp, and we'll have a conversation with not only the players but the coaches. Like, what are your passions? So we know from the previous players who have been here, but we check in. Are you still interested in technology? Are you still interested in STEM? Are you still interested in the Boys and Girls Club or whatever it might be? And then we ask them a couple of questions. What do you want to get done this year? How do you want to make an impact? And what would success look like? And we build out kind of a calendar of events where the players can participate, where we can partner with their foundations, because most of the players have foundations, so that it's seamless. And it's not they're the players and we're the team. We're kind of the team behind the team supporting the players.
That is so cool. Do you have like a story or an example of something that one of the players cared about that really, took on a life of its own or worked really well?
Yep. I'll start with Donovan. Donovan has a nonprofit called SPIDACARES.
Yep.
Donovan is passionate around education. He is passionate around social justice. He's passionate around helping people that don't have an opportunity to help themselves.
Yeah.
So we have a scholarship program, and it's with Huntington Bank, and the Cavs have had it for like 20-something years.
Yeah.
And when Donovan's mom found out about it, because she runs this foundation, she was like, hey, I want to do something for historically black colleges and kids that want to go to HBCUs. We joined forces.
Yeah.
So now it's Huntington, SPIDACARES, and the Cavs. We increase the amount of scholarship money, and we offer more scholarships for kids who also want to either go to HBCUs or going to HBCUs and need support.
Wow.
So that allowed his foundation to grow. It exponentially grew what we were doing for kids, and it helped our foundation as well because we could give to more kids.
Wow. Also, it's pretty cool to know that Donovan Mitchell is also a cool person, you know, because
Yes.
we all watch him play and we're like, oh my goodness. But that's great when the person behind the player is also just so quality. All right, Kevin, we've reached the part of the show called HR Hot Seat.
Yes.
So this is a fun game that we play. I ask you a bunch of rapid fire questions and you give me your best answer in 3 sentences or less. You ready?
3 sentences? I thought you were going to give me 3 words. I'm ready to go.
Oh, all right. Let's do it. All right. What's the first job you ever had?
First job I ever had was a golf caddy at 13 years old at Shaker Heights Country Club.
All right. What's one trait you always look for in a leader?
So one trait I look for is the ability for a leader to lead from the front as well as the rear.
What do you mean by that?
It is easy for me as a leader with a title and all that comes with it to lead from the front and to be that person.
Yeah.
But is it easy? It's not so easy for people to say, you know what, I'm going to let my team have the spotlight. I'm going to let them have the shine. And I'm going to lead from the rear by supporting them. But I want them to know I got your back. I don't need to be a person. I don't need to be the drum major.
I really like that. You don't need to be the center all the time. It's not about you. It's about the team.
It's about them.
That's great. All right. If you could swap roles with one Cavs player for a day, who would it be?
Current Cav player or previous? Current.
Well, okay. I'm going to ask you both now that you threw it out there.
Oh,
Current.
wow. Okay. Current. It would be Donovan.
Okay.
I mean, I've gotten to know Donovan, his family. He is one of the just nicest, caring, compassionate human beings that I've ever met.
Really? Oh,
So
that makes me happy.
and so I played basketball, and how his style was similar. But he also, we talked about leading from the rear. He's a great example. All right. Donovan has the capability of averaging 35 points a game.
Right.
This year, Donovan was like, you know what? I'm going to let the team kind of grow. I'm going to take a back seat. I'll be there when it's needed. You need 40 points, you need 50. I can do that.
Right.
But that's a skill set for him to be able to do that. And look at the results we had. And for him, he benefited. He made his first All-NBA first team this year.
Right.
So I would trade with Donovan.
Okay. All right. I love that. But also, all right, former, just because I'm curious, who's a former?
Okay. Austin Carr.
Austin Carr.
Yep. He was the #1 draft pick. And when he got drafted, he was just this great player that came out of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But they call him Mr. Cavalier because in 1970 when he was drafted, he has remained loyal and with the Cavs up until now. You know, he's an announcer. He's our ambassador. And I just love the class in which he goes about doing everything he does for the Cavs.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that. You know, being a little kid, seeing his jersey hanging up before LeBron was a thing, before any of that, it was always Austin Carr was right there.
Yep.
All right. What's your walk-up song if you're stepping onto the court?
Michael Jackson, Bad.
Okay. Most underrated part of your job?
The most underrated part of my job is the actual impact that we have on not the most significant person in this community, but just the people that are in need.
Yeah, that need the help. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. What's your go-to late night snack after a game?
My go-to snack. I actually like going to Fahrenheit after a game.
Fahrenheit rocks. Yep.
It's probably a sushi that they have over there.
Love it. All right. What's your morning ritual that you never skip?
Praying.
Praying?
Yep. As soon as my eyes open, I pray.
Wow, that's the first thing you do instinctively.
Very first thing I do before I even get out of bed.
That's a great routine.
Yep. And one is to be grateful.
Yeah.
But the other is just to be thankful for what's ahead of me for the day.
What a way to level set before you start everything. All right, what's one small culture change any leader can make today?
For me, in thinking about what a leader can do, is thinking about how they can elevate their people and also how they can get feedback. So I would say for me more so, it's probably one small culture thing is asking their people for feedback about them. That takes courage, but it also takes a sense of trust and building a relationship. Because if I work for you and you say, well, Kevin, give me feedback, if I don't have a relationship or trust that I can give you real feedback, it's not going to be useful because I'm going to tell you something that's
Absolutely.
So I would say building trust with your team members, which will elevate them, but also asking them, so how do you think I ran that? How do you think that meeting went?
Yep.
And just making it a safe space for feedback.
Right. And it makes you better as a leader, and
Yes.
it gives them
Yes.
power and a voice, and it's
Yes.
just, that's very important. All right, last one. You could be working anywhere, but you chose to put your roots down in Cleveland. Why?
So the thing is, I did work everywhere.
Yeah.
I worked all over this country. I had no intent of coming back to Cleveland.
Interesting.
And when my favorite basketball team was looking for somebody to do this work that I had been doing for so long all across the country, I came back to Cleveland because it was a calling for me to come help my city.
Yeah.
And I have a great platform that I can help a lot of people. My team is supportive of the work that my team does.
Yeah.
And I had a chance to create my job.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
There's very few. So I talked about how many people there were that did the diversity, equity, inclusion work. There's only, I don't know, count them on a couple of fingers of people that have the responsibility that I have
Right.
that connects all the dots. And I'm just, the Cavs are a great organization. I'm very happy and pleased to be able to represent them by doing the work that I love to do.
Right. Wow. Kevin, this has been a fantastic conversation, so powerful. Before we go, one last question. What's one shift you'd love to see more organizations make when it comes to equity and leadership?
Well, the one shift would be to understand really what equity is. That's why we took some time to explain it. And from a leadership standpoint, that it takes courage to lead. Not a job title, not whatever your background is from an academic standpoint. Take the courage. And taking courage means that you have to learn how to be courageous. You're not born with it.
Right.
So be a courageous leader, which means take risk, and it's okay to do some things out of the norm. So that's the one thing that I would offer.
I love that. And let me follow up. How, if you're going about learning to be courageous, where do you start?
What's interesting is that we just took our organization through this courageous, like I'll say experience, it wasn't even training, but that was part of what they needed to do from our metrics. It's doing things that are outside of the norm or doing things that you have said that you wanted to do, but yet internally you knew you were afraid to do.
Right.
So it's not internally, it's doing things such as, you know what, I've never salsa danced before. Let me do something I've never done.
Yeah.
Because once you get that courageous or that courage gene, it's contagious inside of you. Because now you look at your business problems differently. It's like,
Right.
I'm not going to be confined by this box. I'm going to step outside of the box
Right.
and see what I can do differently.
Right. Choosing not to be afraid. I love that. Kevin, thank you so much. That's it for today's episode of What's Up at Work, everyone. Huge thanks to Kevin Clayton for sharing his story and showing us what it looks like to lead with vision, accountability, and heart. If this conversation resonated with you, subscribe, leave a review, and follow along as we continue exploring what makes workplaces thrive. Until next time, keep leading, keep learning, and stay curious about what's up at work.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of What's Up at Work. Now it's time to get out there and start building better workplaces. If you need help with where to start, ERC has your back. Head to yourerc.com for exclusive HR tools, insights, and resources to help you attract and retain top talent. And keep tuning into What's Up at Work for more strategies and secrets to help leaders like you create thriving workplaces. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.